All right, it says we're live, but I don't see it pop up here yet. 2 seconds. Oh, and we're live.
All right.
Oh, we already got Caleb in here. Hello, Caleb Comics Smurf.
What's up, Caleb?
Dude, you know how much I was watching his auction last night? Dude, it took like all the willpower in the world not to start bidding on stuff. I was like, I don't collect what was it? Submariner, but I was like, man, that's a good price. I should probably jump on that. I was like, it took all the willpower.
Books, man.
All right, let's see how many we have in here. Give a few minutes for people to join us.
Yep.
That's kind of. I'm gonna stare at that behind you the whole time. Yeah, Kachung, you are. We're just gonna bring you on in a second. We're just gonna do the intro and stuff. All right. You ready?
Ready.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us again. Episode 2 of Into the Swamp with me and Tank Lex. We're also gonna have a special guest today, and we're gonna review the second episode of Swamp Thing.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into reviewing it. We're gonna bring on. You guys know them as Dk Comics and Cosplay on YouTube. To us, they're just Delphia and Kachum. They're really close friends of ours. Met them through the comic community, big contributors, awesome people. So, as you guys know, big news is that after the first episode, show got canceled. It got canned. Word is because of North Carolina, where they were filming the show. The show was expecting like a $40 million cutback from North Carolina, where they get money back, like a refund, I guess, for shooting there. And because there was like a discrepancy in like the paperwork or something, it just didn't end up that way. And the big guns upstairs at WB and stuff just pulled the plug on the show because they didn't get back how much money they were willing to get back. So a lot of stupid business stuff going on. But it was supposed to be a 13 episode first season, and they cut it down to 10. But we are going to get all 10 episodes that were promised to us before the show stops. If there's a chance that it might get picked up by another network, there's been chit chat about CW or HBO, but if they do CW, they won't. I mean, if you've watched the show, they won't be able to get away with all the stuff they already do get away with in the show. So people are really, really bidding for HBO. But that's still like circulating. That's still just talks. We don't even know if the show is even going to come back. Mention at the end some things you can do to kind of help out to get the word out there. So as of right now, I mean, let's bring in our guests and let's get the discussion going.
As I'm typing this, I will say that I did read an article that said the CW, I guess, was under the impression that they were only going to have some of the lower name characters. And then when I guess Swamp Thing was big enough where they were kind of complaining that they should be getting those ones. So I guess there could be an issue with that in the future too.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think it would work there anyway.
No, it definitely will not.
Yeah.
They don't care about that though.
Well, yeah, as long as it makes money, then they're fine.
I should have said this earlier and told them to not join until I say join.
That's fine.
All right.
Who's in the chat?
Oh, and then also I read that it was super expensive. I didn't realize how expensive it was. I mean, I guess you know because it's special effects and stuff, but it was super expensive to make that show. So we got Caleb, Kachung, the Gray Man. Hey, Gray Man, what's up, man? And and DK Comics.
Oh, okay. Small showing right now. Hopefully, it grows in a little bit.
I'm just waiting on them to come in. I sent you guys an invite, so hopefully you guys will join in.
What did you think of it? Did episode 2 give into your liking more than episode 1 did?
Not so much. No, it kind of made me even more concerned a little bit, but
maybe you should watch it again. That's what you did for episode 1.
That is what I did. I did not watch it a second time this time. I was a little concerned. Again, the writing. I mean, we'll go into it in a little bit more, but the writing, I had some issues with some of the writing, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, there were some spots where, like, after what you discussed in episode 1, I've been really focusing on the dialogue a little more, and it's not great. Certain characters I really enjoy, like their dialogue, but there are some characters that a lot of it just doesn't need to be there. Hey,
hey guys!
There they are.
Our guests for the night.
We're going to try and get some volume here so we can hear you guys.
Business is picking up. The legends.
What legends?
We've arrived.
The king and queen of YouTube.
We're having some technical difficulties with one of our cameras, so we just went with the laptop camera.
Yeah, for some reason, our, what is it? I guess it's a 1080p, whatever, Logitech camera doesn't work with the Hangout, so.
But say, don't tell me it broke, because that's the one I bought, because you guys told me to buy that one. Well, you said you used it.
It doesn't, no, I didn't, it did not break. But it certainly doesn't like to connect as a guest through Hangout, so it like defaults to our laptop computer. I mean, laptop camera.
You know what? I had an issue with that the first couple of times too. It kept trying to switch back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know how we'll fix it. We had the same problem when we went on with John on the Comic Call.
Yeah.
I think I had actually
joining us.
Go in the settings and disable the camera or something weird. But anyways.
No worries, Tank. Thank you for having us.
Hey, Tank.
What's up?
Oh, you know, just hanging out. I like your stormtrooper.
Thank you.
That's key.
So we're gonna jump right into it, but we wanted to bring you guys in first. Obviously, we talked about the whole cancellation of the show and all that jazz, but we didn't want to start discussing the episode until we guys got you guys in here, and we wanted to know like what you thought about certain parts of the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so I have notes here. So going from like, I watched the episode and I took notes like in the sequential order of like how the episode went. And then
yeah.
What happened?
I took notes too.
Tons of notes.
Mr. G, before we get into it, anything new in the chat that we should know about?
No, other than your boys is here, and Gray Man said he had to peace out because he didn't want spoilers. So.
Your boy.
Your boy is here.
If you have not watched the show, if you did not watch the show, do not watch this live. Watch the show and then hop into the review. So we start off with the beginning sequence of Swampy. The big part that caught my eyes when he was checking himself and pulling bits and pieces of himself off, wondering what is going on, and then that there was that massive Swamp Thing roar as the vines were kind of reproducing and rehealing the parts that he pulled apart right before the opening credits. I thought that was very, very well done, and for a character that can't speak, I mean, you really like. I think that was a big thing about this episode is we finally got to see a lot of him. Well, at least like more than episode 1. We got like a little 10-second snippet of him at the end. And finally we got to see him like along the episode, little bits and pieces. And what was his name? Mears, I think. Something Mears, the guy that's playing him. Man, he's really good at just like conveying emotion without any words. Like you kind of like with his eyes and his motions and stuff, you could really pull that apart.
So it's
Derek Mears.
Derek Mears, there you go.
It's the same actor inside a suit, right?
No, I mean, the two guys are different actors.
Yeah. The guy who played Alec Holland is different, and the guy who's playing Swampy in the suit is a different guy. He's the guy that played, I think, Jason. He played Jason in one of the movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
5 or something.
So he
Yeah.
has that like walk run thing down.
Well, yeah, he's like a big he's a big name in like the horror community.
Nice.
From what I heard from Parker. And it looks. What did you guys think so far of like the opening sequence of the show and everything when you finally got to see him in his full suit and everything?
You mean the beginning of 2, or just like him and as
Yeah,
Swamp?
beginning of 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that they made him Swamp Thing really quickly in the season. You know, that was one thing like with Game of Thrones that really got on our nerves. It took like three seasons to see dragons.
Yeah.
We switched off.
So I think it's cool that they brought some of that cinematography in so soon. I think they did a really good job at it. I mean, I think they've done a really good job, like you said, of conveying emotion without words.
Yeah.
I did find it a little tricky to understand the connection between the girl and him at that point.
Yeah.
I
That's
didn't know
actually
whether
my next point. Yeah.
she was
Susie,
whether she was seeing through his eyes and thinking, "Whoa, what the heck am I?" But it became clearer that she actually, realized that he was someone different, and could feel him.
I think that was the thing that they did the best was literally the next bullet point I had written down was little girl Susie will be our link to Swamp Thing. And I think that was the best thing to do because if you didn't do that, you get to learn Swamp Thing it takes a very long time in the books because obviously he's a character with no dialogue. But without like a complete backstory, connecting him to a character like this is a really cool way of kind of like letting us know the kind of person that Alec Holland is as Swamp Thing. Like, we got to also put together that she herself has this accelerant inside of her, hence why she's in the hospital. But she's also been medicated, so she's being controlled by medication when he's kind of like the final mutation, like the final form of what that accelerant will do to somebody. And there's like a link between them too. I thought that was a really cool thing that they did. Mr. G?
I was gonna say, can you see the chat because Issues is on full troll mode on you.
Yeah.
He apparently very enjoyed the show and is happy to be here. Just that's basically what he said.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I like the beginning. The ripping the face off thing was a little disturbing at first, but then I think it was a kind of a harsh way to, and like a good way to show you that when she was like messing with it, he was messing with it. So it showed you, right in your face that they have some kind of weird connection together. So it kind of put that where you knew it immediately. So that was good. That was a good job on that one.
And then,
well, I disagree with Issues because I think that Crystal Reed, who plays Abby, I think she's pretty hot too. So
yeah, she is hot.
So I mean, and I'm sure The Bachelor has a bunch of also hot women. He said one has hot women and the other one doesn't. So I'm saying you're wrong. They're both hot. I think there's definitely more good-looking women in this show than good-looking men.
I agree.
Yeah. We have Thorough, Kuboro, and Perry Comics. What's happening, guys? Thanks for stopping by.
Happening? Perry, what's up?
Is there a she Swamp Thing, Hank?
Huh?
A she Swamp Thing.
A she Swamp
She
Thing.
Swamp Thing.
They had to have done a she Swamp Thing by now. They're missing out. I thought that they made everything into a she eventually.
Like a Swampina.
Yeah.
Swampina.
What I really liked too was they went a little more horror in this one. They had a few scenes that very James Wan-esque. First one being that nightmare that she was having when she was sleeping.
Oh yeah, that was actually really creepy.
Right? And then she woke up with Shauna, her friend that had passed away, like grabbing onto her hand. There was a couple Shauna references in this episode.
Yeah. The mom too.
Yeah, I was kind of at first when I first watched it, I felt like Abby was just kind of seeing that, just kind of like her head was messing with her. But then after watching it the second time and with the voodoo lady in it, and then the mom Maria sees her at the end as well, I kind of got the impression that maybe it was more of a haunting.
I can't stand Maria Sunderland. She gets on my last nerve.
Like in a good way, like that's what she's supposed to do, or you just don't like her acting?
I don't like her acting like she bugs me. Something about, I don't know if it's her face or her voice or her character. It just bugs the crap out of me.
She really seems like she belongs on one of those like daytime soap operas.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah. But Will Patton, though, the guy that plays Avery Sunderland, I love that guy. That guy's killing that role.
Yeah, but his makeup is so bad.
Yeah, it kind of looks super fake, like he's wearing a bald cap that's attached only halfway.
Yes, and like even his face makeup, like I think that like the resolution on our TV is pretty decent, so you can see like it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
they could have put a little bit more into makeup.
I really like his acting though. That character, he plays it very well.
He's a good actor.
Like when she came into the room, we might talk about later. When she came into the house and he immediately tried to turn on the charm and was like, "Oh yeah," I mean, he did that really well. Like you could tell it was like totally fake, but totally.
Oh yeah.
Like it was a good job.
It reminded me of the governor on Walking Dead a little bit.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
I started to get like True Blood vibes from the second episode.
I get True Blood vibes from the writing. Like I was gonna say, after that nightmare woke up, that was my first moment where I groaned, and it's for two things. One, when she's in there getting coffee, and that random girlfriend is like, "Oh, help yourself," and then immediately he's like, "Oh, you must be so and so, her long life friend." Like, then why would you make that comment? Help yourself. Like I thought that was annoying. And then I hope, like it's gonna be a hot take. I'll probably get thrown off YouTube for this, but I hope that's not a token gay character moment where they just like, "Oh, they kissed and we never see them again." Like if you're gonna do that, then like what was the point of that? They're like, "Oh
yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a big deal." Like, but then again, like she's going out on a shrimp boat or whatever as her work, so there might be a scene where she ends up like getting stuck in like the swamp. Something happens with her, and like Liz, her girlfriend, will like beg Abby. Like this is how I see it going. Like something's gonna happen, and then she's gonna beg Abby, "Listen, you heard that monster that saved Susie's life was Alec. Can't you talk to Alec and help me save my girlfriend somehow, blah, blah, blah." And I think that's how that's going to go. I could be totally wrong, but I think that's the only time we'll see that character again.
As long as there's a reason for it and not just, "Oh, we're going to throw somebody in there so that way people don't complain," then I'm fine with it. I just, that whole like, let's make sure we get all the numbers counted up. It's just annoying. And to me, it's like, I don't know.
How's that Madame Xanadu scene? How'd you like that?
People.
Is that the voodoo lady?
Yeah.
I thought that scene was stupid.
I love it.
I just didn't like any of it. I told when we watched it again tonight, prepping for the show, but we watched it again, and I remember telling Kachung certain sets we got to, and I was like, I don't remember this, I remember that. And this one I was like, I remember this because it was absolutely stupid. I just didn't like any of it. And honestly, the costume choice was so ridiculous. Like I felt like they had her dressed like Blade. She had on like this like Michael Jackson jacket and like glasses. It was so out of didn't match the scenery, and then the steak in the back. The production quality for me on this show is so low. Like I just don't understand why they like spent so little money with such a great idea.
Yeah, I think they put all their money into their production team, also like setting and costume and stuff like that. But like, I think they could have brought in a little more of like actor quality. I think they could have splurged a little bit and gotten someone at least with a name, because especially when like this whole cancellation news happened, it wouldn't have happened if you had someone with a bigger name than any of these people on the cast. It wouldn't have. If you think about it, the biggest name they have on the cast is the guy that's wearing a suit where you can't see his face.
Yeah.
So
no,
that says a lot.
Good point.
But I like the way they portrayed Madame Xanadu, judging by like what I've seen in the comics. And she's crucial. She's important because like if this whole Shauna death thing is going to come up, Xanadu is going to be our connection to that afterlife. That when she said there's a shift in the force of light and dark, like she's going to be our connection to that. You know, that's her thing. She's a fortune teller, a future seer, like magic character, you know?
I wondered if there was a link between the dead girl and the swamp.
Yeah.
And if the swamp, you know, whether it was conscious or not, if it had that, you know, awareness that that girl was in purgatory or wherever she is.
Yeah, well, you got to think, like, when they, remember in episode 1 when Abby was having flashbacks about, like, her friend and her on the bridge, and then her friend got up on, like, the ledge of the bridge, and then the memory kind of stopped. So the only thing I would imagine is that she fell off or something happened, and she ended up in the swamp and then never to be seen again.
Right.
Because Maria Sunderland keeps bringing up, like, well, in episode 1, she was like, I haven't even thought about this swamp until you came back into Murray. And now that I see you, the swamp is like all I think about, or something along those lines, where she was like, I was content with Shauna's death, blah, 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 until you showed up and you're bringing these horrific memories back with you and all this dramatic Maria Sunderland stuff that she does.
Are you talking about episode 1 when Maria and Abby have that chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did talk about that in the first episode, but that really bothered me, that chat. I forgot about that till you just said that. I guess maybe because she's an actor, but I'm sitting there thinking she's like some doctor who flies around the world, and then some random old chick. I know she's, you know, the power in the city. She's going to say, like, I'm going to allow you to stay here. I'm going to do this. And she just sat there. I'm like, dude, you just were in a village where people were dying, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm so sorry. Like, I was like, why is she just sitting there allowing this lady to scream at her? Like, I will allow you to stay here. I was like, what in the world? That's a weird way to do that.
It seemed very soapy-like.
Yeah.
Like
Every
that little part of it.
Yeah.
Every scene with her does.
Every scene with her
Yeah.
does.
Pretty much.
I think that's probably a good point. They should just start playing soapy music whenever they show her.
But they did do a good job, like, in her scenes and Avery's scenes, showing how big of a family they are. Like, when I mean big, like, I mean status-wise, to where they have so much control to the point where Abby has to go to him to make one phone call to get the entire police force out of a lab. Like, these guys have power, you know? So
and there's some town meeting, too, where he's in control.
I think that scene was important, like the scene where she went and asked for his permission, and he kind of showed what his relationship is to her outside of his wife's relationship to her. And also, I mean, I think for someone who hasn't read, you know, Swamp Thing or doesn't have any pre-exposure to the story, it definitely explained who she was to the Sunderlands as well.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that was an important scene.
What do you guys think of the Daniel Cassidy introduction?
Oh, the Blue Devil?
I loved it.
Blue Devil.
I was like, oh my God, 90210.
Yeah.
So the sad part is, before, if somebody had, because I didn't know he was coming there when I saw him, I literally rolled my eyes, and by the end I was smiling, and it kind of showed me how a lot of the other actors in that show aren't that great, because like, he kind of stole his scene. I was like, this guy's making me smile.
He's like the best actor in the show.
Yeah. Mr. G, you were swept off your feet.
I was swept off my feet.
Man, you were smitten. Mr. 90210 came over and pursued you.
But he's playing Blue Devil, right? Isn't that a nod to the upcoming series?
Oh, he like legitimately is. I know he was in the TV show. Like he.
I think that was a big like thing. I think that was a big
plugged it.
That's cool.
Yeah, they plugged it on the laptop and on the poster. So
yeah. And then if you realize, I realized today, it was like the second or third time I was watching it, when they walk in initially to where Daniel Cassidy lives, that area where he lives, as soon as you walk in, right above on like the awning inside the house, it says Blue Devil in like big letters.
Oh, really?
Like scrambled across. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, that was a good plug.
It's good to
That's
nod
actually-
to other shows or movies.
Yeah, it's hilarious that you say that though, Mr. G, because at first I thought the same thing. I saw him and I was like, is that the guy from 90210?
Yes.
And then he kept going and I was like, you know what? I have been really enjoying watching the 90210. And actually he looks pretty good for his age. So
Yeah. He was older than the rest of them.
I'll have what he's taking.
But that did lead to the part of the show that kind of annoyed me because I'm a little bit worried. And we kind of touched on the episode 1 where she gets the laptop and this guy that she knew for what? I don't know, 4 hours? I don't even know how long they even knew each other. And he was like, oh, she's pretty cool. And she's like wiping away tears like she just lost the love of her life. And I'm like, dude, you knew it for like 4 hours. And he was kind of a nerd. Like, what the hell? She's like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
I thought the same thing, but then I just thought back to like all the Disney movies I grew up watching, and like all the princesses met the princes for like a minute, and then they were in love forever. So
okay, but
it's kind of like how we met.
Yeah.
Oh, for the love of God.
What's happening?
Okay, but that's fine in a Disney movie. But 10 minutes later, 10 minutes early, he was ripping his face off, and then she's like,
Right.
it's not that kind of show. It shouldn't be all like, oh well. I feel like they could have, I don't know, they could have done something clever where it was obvious they had been investigating this thing for like weeks, and they just kind of you know what I mean? Like they just did a little jump thing where it's like, we've been looking this for weeks, we can't get anywhere, and then they go. But it was just like, it just seemed a little forced. It was like a love interest after like 4 hours. I don't know. But I mean, last episode you did say she gets around, and then they made the note that the sheriff's son, which I actually kind of like the sheriff and the mom, the mom and the son. I actually think they did a pretty good job together. But then obviously that's little. You didn't know I had a crush on you. What? I never knew. Like they had that little moment in the boat.
Yeah, that was a little unnecessary. Like I feel like some of this stuff, I personally feel like there are some things that this show is spelling out for the audience that they could really just integrate into the story and let the story tell the audience. Like him having a crush on her, or that weird scene in the first episode with the mom and her. So a little bit of that, like some better writing.
Yeah.
Yes, writing is definitely needed.
I think the script writing is a little on the weak side. I would say that's the weakest point of the entire show, is the script writing. But I mean, they need to set up that Matt Cable relationship with Abby, because that's just the way the story was written from day one.
Hello, Nemo and Parker. Hello, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, Parker's just in time. The big thing in this episode was the introduction to the Woodrows and Dr. Jason Woodrow.
Oh, right. Yeah, the guy from that other cool show that I like.
Oh, are we talking about the guy that showed up with his wife? The one that invented the virus?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Accelerant.
Yeah, I've seen that guy in other shows. He's not bad, and obviously there was something else going on there. They put way too much time into this random couple, so I didn't know what it was. But
that guy is going to be your new villain.
Oh yeah.
That guy is going to be the villain. If you guys go back and watch our show, episode 1, when we're covering episode 1, Parker had one wish, and it was to bring in Dr. Jason Woodrow. And he becomes Swamp Thing's most equally matched villain. Floronic Man. And
does he get messed up with the accelerant somehow?
Yeah, and me and Parker were talking about it last episode. He thinks it's perfect because, well, I agree with him. He is the most evenly matched with him. So, I mean, given like people that don't read Swamp Thing and think DC is geeky and like it's not as cool as Marvel and they don't have experience with DC, and like Swamp Thing's really, really, really strong as a character. And it's like he takes down people like no problem. But Floronic Man is always someone that he's somewhat evenly matched with. So you got to think like for someone that has that accelerant inside of them to meet someone else that gets powers from the accelerant, but also like, yes, Alec is a scientist himself, but this guy is the one who created this accelerant. He knows the ins and outs of it and what it can do. So I mean, they're pretty evenly matched. So I'm really excited about that.
He was in the strain.
Hopefully, it makes it in before the first season ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that's the scene where they're talking at Avery's house. That's the scene where we find out why they care about that swamp so much, because he says, we dump the accelerant, we make things grow faster, such as trees and plants, more land to develop drugs and cosmetics. So he wants that accelerant in there so that he can have more resources to take from, so that he can sell more and make more money for himself. So that's why this whole swamp thing is such a big deal to the Sunderland family. It's pretty much their estate. They're banking off all their money off this swamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's a land grab.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get to the scene where Susie breaks away, breaks out of the hospital.
Did the tree break her out? Because it was tapping on the glass earlier in the episode.
I assumed so. I didn't know, but I assumed that that's how the window broke.
It looked like it was broken from the outside in. Whether that was a mistake by the production team or not, I think it was in the story, right?
Yeah, there was more glass on the inside. Like, obviously, we couldn't see the glass on the outside, but there was plenty of glass on the inside to assume that. I mean, we don't know. Maybe if they have this kind of telekinetic power to where she told, like, you know how she felt he was in trouble? Maybe he felt that she wanted to get out, somehow control the plant to break her out of there. Or who knows, maybe they completely do a left turn and she's the one that manipulated that tree to break it somehow. I mean, we'll find out later on. But yeah, I think that was pretty clever. And then
so the girl, and their reason for picking a girl rather than an adult, is that just to bring that, I guess, friendliness, so to speak, of the Swamp Thing, or at least his compassion?
I also think if they were going to do a sitcom, it's very hard, and it would take plenty of time to show you why he becomes the way he is. And I think they use that little girl as an automatic connection, saying, like, that's their way of channeling to us that he's scared. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what's going on. He helped me. He said his name is Alec. Like, without her being the voice of him, it would take us forever to really find out what he's feeling, what's going on with him, why he's doing the things he's doing. That's why I think she's going to be our link to him, like, throughout the show. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a clever way to do it, because they obviously, they figured, hey, a sitcom's not going to have that much time to set up the story, and sure enough, they cut it down from 13 to 10. There's not going to be a show anymore, so they need to put the pedal to the metal and kind of get it going.
Mm-hmm. I love that scene where she escapes the boat, and that golem evil guy goes after her, and she finds that house that's half drowned and hides underneath. That was totally a scene from Aliens, where Newt is standing in the water and the alien water behind her, and she screams. Exactly the same scene.
And when the machete comes right through.
Yeah. Hey, but we're not going to talk about the fact that when the zombie apocalypse happens, the CDC's not helping us all, because that little girl broke containment about 10 times and no one can seem to stop her. We're totally screwed when the zombies come. They can't stop anything.
Also, like, at the end, Abby was just in the boat with her, like, kissing her. And I'm like,
well, I guess once you see, like, a 7-foot walking swamp, maybe you just give up at that point. Like, we can't control this thing.
It's everywhere.
What I say that I did like about that house scene, though, is because the only thing I know about Swamp Thing is seeing him in Justice League Dark. Yeah. And in that, he's more like controlling a part of the planet almost. Like, he's so powerful in that he's like, he's holding something back where everybody else is fighting. So it's kind of neat to see him, you know, it's not a very fair fight, but him taking on like one person at a time. And, you know, he ripped that poor fellow apart. But it was kind of neat, because I never read anything Swamp Thing. He was just taking on people. It was always like, hey, Swamp, you hold back the entire part of the green of the world, and then everybody else is going to go fight while you hold it back. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like a really important part. I think they use that to show you what he's capable of, the regenerating and the healing power, like after he gets stabbed and the vines kind of stitch him back up, and then how he can control all the vines and rip the guy apart. And then the big scene is Abby's first time getting eyes on him. What did you guys think about that scene?
Well, didn't she technically see him in the first one? A little bit, right?
Well, she kind of sees like a big being, but I mean, I don't think she realized what it could be or like why it would be around Susie in the first place.
Yeah.
And then like she was completely haunted, I felt like, until Susie in the boat, which I think was like the biggest scene, when she goes, he was scared and then he helped me. And then she was like, well, did he say anything else? Anything you could remember? And she goes, yeah, he said his name is Alec. And then like she got like this haunted look on her face.
Oh yeah, no, I think they did a good job with that. I really like that actress, Crystal Reed. She was in. She may not be in Gotham anymore, but she's been in Gotham for the last couple of seasons, and she's been Falcone's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's who that is. I didn't know who that was.
I thought I had seen her before, but I didn't even like look into her name.
Yeah.
Way to go, Delvin. Bravo.
That's right.
But I really like her in Gotham. I think she actually fits that character really well. But this character is a little different for her. I feel like this character is better suited for that lady that was in Shameless. What was her name? Shameless.
Oh, the daughter in Shameless?
Yeah, I really like her.
Look alike, actually.
They look similar, but I feel like she's better at playing like those like more innocent characters. And I feel like the lady that's like leading lady in Swamp Thing, she's doing a good job, you know. But we've also just made a very clear assumption that like a clear assessment or whatever that the actors in here are not very good anyway, right? So yeah. Compared to the other actors, she's doing great. But when
you sigh with relief when 90210 comes on.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
Need better actors.
But yeah, I think she's doing a good job. I thought that she did a great job with that part. I mean, when she saw him, she was terrified, you know, rightfully so, and acted as anyone would seeing a monster and something that's a threat, and then kind of set it up at the end with her realizing who it was, and obviously now all of her actions are going to be very different. So I thought they did a good job with that.
Mr. G?
Yes, sir.
Anything in the chat we should know about?
You don't want to know some of it, but TX3507 joined us. Thank you very much. And it looks like Outcast Raptor joined us. Issues is talking something about touching Poison Ivy and then touching other body parts. So I mean, you know, it's just another day with yeah, just another day with issues and how, you know, how to get rid of it in those
just
areas.
Another walk in the park.
Yeah.
There's an interesting duel between Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing coming about in the chat.
I wasn't going to tell them about how many people they say are better or can beat Swamp Thing because I didn't want to get Tank all fired up. But yes, Poison Ivy was someone who's stronger, and Man Thing is stronger, and
it's in battle.
The new Bat movie show, whatever that's called, I forgot what it's going to be. Batwoman.
Poison Ivy's stronger, you know, because Batman's more popular character, and you know, we all love Poison
I
Ivy.
totally think it's. I don't know if Issues doesn't know that you can't see the chat. I don't know if he knows that because it's totally for you. I believe.
Even better, man. This show would go off the rails.
If it's based on writer strength, then Swamp Thing rules.
That's right. Maybe
yeah.
He needs to read more sophisticated comics. He needs to stay away from the Uncle Scrooge books for a while.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would say they're doing okay considering the writing. The writing at times is, I don't know. It was like you were saying when I was doing research for the first one, and you see all the names pop up at the beginning, and it's like names I recognize. They're all for like executive producers, this and that. And then as the show's getting the stuff that should be important, like showrunner and writer, it's like first time or not done very much stuff. So so that's kind of disappointing. It's because it is like I said in the first episode too. Fire Guy Ryan said he feels like he can guess what they're going to say next, and on a lot of those things where they're forcing dialogue, it definitely feels like that. Like it's totally okay.
Well, what do we think? How are we rating out of 10 episode 2?
I thought episode 2 was better than episode 1.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, thankfully, it's terrible when a show gets worse after the pilot. It should never do that.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a 4 until 902 showed up. Now it's like a 6.5.
Okay, solid. What do you Delphia Kachung out of 10?
Oh, I love my horror. I'm gonna say 6.5. First episode was like a 5.5.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, it was good enough for us to sit through it and watch it again. So
I'm docking them on 3 things. I'm docking them on script writing. I'm docking them on Maria Sunderland being a soap actress, and I'm docking them on some predictability. So I'm going to give them a 7 on episode 2. But then again, I am biased. So before we end, I wanted to read this little message that James Wan wrote on his Instagram. He wrote, "Don't really know or understand why Swamp Thing was canceled, but I can tell you this. All the cast and crew and producing and writing teams poured their hearts into this. Really proud of everyone's hard work. Go watch episode 2 and immortalize these 10 episodes. Swampy deserves it." I also think that, showing support for the show, if we really do like it, is important to hopefully have it get picked up by another network. So for those of you watching that don't know, if you go into the link in my bio on my Tank Collects Instagram, there's a link to sign a petition to help the show get back on, like as many people as we possibly can. I'm going to send it into whoever I think I can get eyes on it. And the cool thing is that I went in to check on how the petition was doing. I put it for 1,000 people, but we're only almost up to 300, so it hasn't moved a lot yet. But you have the choice to do it anonymously, or you can write a message. And I went and I read some of the messages, and some of them are from people that worked on set. Some of them were for people that did like costumes. Some of them were like people that were on like the writing team. And they signed the petition and wrote messages, "Thank you for doing this." And we really worked really hard on this, So it was really cool to see that. So if you guys want to help, if you're willing, the link is in my bio on my Instagram. Other than that, I want to thank Delphia and Kachun for coming on and chatting with us today. Want to thank Mr. G for hosting as usual.
Yeah.
Episode 3 airs June 14th, and it's called He Speaks. Last time I was able to find a plot for episode 2, but today I searched up and down the internet, could not find a plot point for episode 3, but it's called He Speaks, and it will be airing on Friday. So, any last words from you guys?
I thought he didn't speak.
Well, I bet you he's probably going to speak through the child.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's what I think. So other than that, thank you to everyone. Make sure you guys go follow DK's Comics and Cosplay. They are my favorite YouTube channel, personally.
And all their links for their YouTube and Instagram are already down there. So, send them messages and tell them how much they should be doing videos on a regular basis. We all want to see it.
Yes, spam them. Spam their DMs. We're gonna start a petition for DK Comics and Cosplay.
To start doing more content.
All right, guys. Well, again, thanks, Mr. G, for hosting. Thanks for the guests. Thanks for the people on the chat. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for having us.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you.